Okay, we're gonna do the 16 mil vent, same as the 5-wall or the double glass. So you wanna be careful when you're cutting these open. There's a package of fasteners. So this is our vent top hinge. So I like to have the curl facing away from me and the punches towards me. And this is our vent bottom. I have it facing like this, which is called a vent gutter. So we're gonna have 3/4 inch number 8 screws. That's gonna be for capping the glass and pinning down the sides, corners. I'll throw those in my pocket. Now I'm gonna thread my nuts and bolts together. So the nuts and bolts that you previously threaded, they were a 1/2 inch. This is a 3/8 bolt. It's a little smaller. You can't use the 1/2 inch on the vents, otherwise you're gonna have problems with it binding, potentially not sealing as well as you would with the smaller bolt. So please use these ones. So you got 2 bars with the slider on it. You got your outer bar, and it just slides in like so. So what you have to do is put your nut and bolt in and just guide it in and bolt it up tight, making sure that it's tight to the bottom of your vent hinge. And then I just work my way down. So I'm gonna have one without a slider, that's our middle bar. And then our last one. So we got this part all done. So I get my nut and bolt, just guide them in on each corner here, and then my gutter goes on. Tighten your corners up. Okay, we have our frame put together. I'm just gonna sort of eyeball it square here for the second. Now with those screws that you got, the longer 3/4 inch screws, we're gonna put them through this hole and pin the top. Again, I don't like over tightening it. As soon as it hits the metal is when I stop. If you tighten it too much, sometimes this hinge will bind up and you'll get squeaks. Then on the bottom, on the vent gutter, we do the same. The only difference is I do this one tight. So the next step will be to foam your bars. If it was 5-wall, you would prep your poly the same way you would do it in the greenhouse installation. You still prep your H's. This will always be your bottom. So I'm going to call this my bottom. This is my top. Now the long part of the H goes on the same way on your outside surface. And you want to make sure your H's are touching tight to both sides. Make sure your glass is centered on that screw track and your vent is nice and square, which this one is. So everything's looking good here. We will cap it off. Okay, now that your vent's glazed, we can seal it. So I start on my top one. You just want to tool that right away. When you're tooling, I like to use soapy water. I don't have on my hand. It's really not good to lick your finger. Sometimes I'll use a bit of glass cleaner. Now I'm going to do the bottom. I'm going to do this part right here as well. And I'm going to take it here and just bring it down just a hair, just to cover this little gap that you might notice. And again, on the bottom, I like to seal each end of the caps. Doing this just keeps out a lot of the dirt buildup that'll happen over time. You can seal in behind here. I recommend it on the 5-wall that you seal in behind. On double glass, it's not as important, but if you were to on 5-wall, that's how you would do it. And then you would flip it over. You'd try to get some seal in there as well.